Welcome, everyone. It's the Mike Tech Show, show number 961. Got a great show tonight. For the main topic, cybersecurity awareness training with a focus on email. I'm actually going to demonstrate what I've been using for clients, for employees. We'll talk about that. Shell command tips. And a great little utility that I'm going to demonstrate called Restart on Crash. Before I start anything, I have to talk about the a hole in the podcasting community where Todd Cochrane passed away. And Todd is a pioneer. He started in 2004, right after Adam Curry. Adam Curry influenced Todd, and the two of them really influenced me. And I'm doing this podcast and been doing it for over 20 years because of Todd. He passed away suddenly on Monday at the age of 61. And it's just, it's so sad. I feel for his family, the companies that he started. He started the Tech Podcast Network, which I was invited to very early on when I started and was honored to be part of that. He also started Raw Voice, which was like a main directory, an area where you could go to get your podcast. He founded Blueberry, which is a whole organization dedicated to publishing and helping podcasters. On and on. He has been the Podcast Awards. He's hosted Geek News Central for over 20 years. And I was a regular listener. And it was because of Adam Curry and listening to him. And then another show that I've often mentioned, which was hosted by Kevin Devon, and it was called In the Trenches. And I steal that name all the time when I talk about a segment from In the Trenches here. It's exactly where I get that from. And that was so enjoyable. And Kevin pod faded years ago. And I just needed to there's so much to be said for Todd. He was in the Navy for 21 years. And there's so much that rather than read the obituary that was very generously, very kindly put together. Let me see here. I'm going to have a link in the show notes. James Cridlin is the editor of Pod News. And what I have is, I'm going to display it in a second here. Boo-boo. Well, if I could bring it up. There we go. Okay. Sorry about that. Anyway, this is Pod. This is Todd Cochrane, and he given a lecture, a class, podcast movement, and that was just in Dallas in 2025. So this is a great little article that you can see. He was one of the first authors of a book on podcasting, and we are definitely for the lesser for losing Todd. And Todd, rest in peace. I will never forget. Here's a personal story. So I'm listening to his show recorded, and he would record them on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I'm heading to work when I was in the corporate world, and I'm listening, and I almost drove off the road when I hear my voice on his podcast as he was saying he has stumbled onto a tech show that the host is Mike Smith, and it's the Mike Tech Show podcast. And I used to have a download of like a little 30-second promo, and he played it. on his show. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that was tremendous. Anyway, I'll never forget having conversations on the phone with Todd, where when I became part of the Tech Podcast Network, he was the first to monetize podcasts and have advertising. There was a time where I had my own advertiser. I had Nitro Security. They're not around anymore. But I had Citrix and I had GoDaddy as sponsors of my show. If you go back to the beginning and you hit show 7, you'll see I had multiple sponsors that were really heavy hitters in the industry back then. And a lot of that was because of Todd. Todd, I know you're podcasting up there. Rest in peace. And my heart is really out there for your family and all your coworkers and everybody that you worked with. You will be sorely, sorely missed. Okay, let's now move on as I try. Okay, right now I want to talk about Instant House Call before we get started. And if you go to MikeNation.net, click on the big orange link. I have that in the show notes for every episode. And if you click, you can get the incredible deal where you're getting 90% off the entrepreneur plan, which normally goes for $468 a year. You get it for $47. You get everything. Timed window sessions where you can actually see how long it took to, you were on a session. Customers can start sessions without even calling you first. You get all the session analytics. There's an auto repair built in. You can fully white label the icons, the installer, have 10 concurrent connections and unlimited endpoints, instant house call for remote control. If you are an IT professional, this is what you need. You hear me talk about it all the time. I use it every single day. This is the software you need. Check it out. All right, we're going to go right into the PDF, and this I'm going to cut and paste and put it into the chat so everybody can download it if they want. Employee cybersecurity awareness training. And this is what I've been doing for clients. And I want to take a moment to set this up. Companies need cyber insurance. And cyber insurance now require that annual employee cybersecurity awareness training take place. And you have to prove that they've done it. So if you're doing this for a company and your employees, make sure they have a sheet that they signed that they attended. So this way you have proof, because you got to prove that employees attended. So last week, Wednesday and Thursday, my biggest client, who has a lot of employees, and we had multiple sessions, and boy, by Thursday, I knew, after talking all day Wednesday and all day Thursday, I knew my voice was going to be hurting, and it was. And that's why there was no show last week. I knew and planned accordingly to not have a show last Thursday. So that is the main reason. And it was a good thing too, because my throat was raw from talking. This is even more important now because I got to tell you a story yesterday. So the administrator for a church that we support, and we have like 2 or 3 churches that we do work for, and she called me, said, Mike, I think the pastor's phone was hacked. We got a real problem. All the parishioners on their cell phones got texts, messages. They were identifying as the pastor, the text message, and asking for them to get gift cards, and then call a number and then give the codes. And some parishioners fell for this. And that's one of the things that, I talk about and we have in the training is to not do it. So when analyzing his phone, he was not hacked at all. As a matter of fact, everything was fine. Here's how it happened. The administrator sent to someone from the board, emailed her, and this is someone she knows from the board of directors for the church, asking for a directory of the phone numbers of all the parishioners. And she sent the Excel spreadsheet that they maintain privately and sent it to him. It was the board member's email that was hacked. How do you stop that? You can't believe, and that's why this has all been put together and everything. This falls directly into what I'm going to be covering tonight, because you can't, just because you received the email from a trusted person, you can't trust it. You can't trust anybody. You just can't. And this is so important. And now the phone number that was used for the text messages, I started searching that. There are multiple churches that have experienced this problem. How low do you have to be? How despicable of a person do you have to be to take advantage of a church and the church parishioners? We won't go down the road of the punishment that's not going to be enough for that person. And I believe in karma. Let's see what happens to that person's karma when they're done on this plane, on this earth. So, because there's bad things, and then, come on. For a church, nonprofit, anyway, I think I was more upset than they were. Anyway, it was that was terrible. And my son was on site today to check a couple of the systems and some of the other things just to make sure. And he was asked by the pastor, he's going to be giving a presentation. We're not even part of this parish. He's going to be making a presentation to the parishioners at one of the masses on Sunday, doing a little piece of cybersecurity awareness. And I think that's awesome and should be encouraged. And anybody, if you know whatever church you're in, hey, if you're listening to this show and you belong to a church, volunteer to do something like this. Let's stop this from happening. And the only way we can do this is education and training. So I get off my soapbox there, and let's get back to the PDF. This is a PDF of a sanitized version of my PowerPoint presentation. So why cybersecurity matters. And this is important. 90% of data breaches start with phishing emails. And you describe with phishing, you actually use the motion of a fishing reel. The bad guys are casting their line to you, and they're reeling you in, and they're trying to get you. The risks of data theft, financial loss, and reputation. You can't forget about that. A company that it goes public that they've been compromised, that can impact the reputation of someone deciding between A or B. Do I walk into Target, or do I go to another place? Because I know Target has been compromised so many times, I won't go in there. So we'll call that a reputation problem. Every employee is the first line of defense, and this is where I hammer on. Now, here are some common cyber email threats: phishing and spear phishing. That's fake messages that look real. And by the way, I have examples here. Business email compromise. Attackers impersonate executives. This happens a lot, where an employee gets an email, maybe a supervisor, from what appears to be the CEO saying, hey, buy a bunch of gift cards so you can hand them out to employees. And so, no. Malware and ransomware, of course, that's delivered via malicious attachments or links. Never click on anything that you're not expecting. And then this is credential harvesting. And that's just a fancy term for fake login pages. And this is another common attempt. So now, red flags. This is what you hammer on. And this is what, when you're done, you want to make sure that everybody can identify red flags. Unexpected sender. The email doesn't match the name. That's because you can move your mouse over it and you can say, wait, this isn't coming from that person. Or even if it looks like it. Urgent threatening message. This is the big one where they're asking you to do something. Your Amazon account is going to be disabled if you don't do this right away. Your PayPal account is going to be disabled. My wife gets an email every week of a PayPal threatening email that her account's going to be deleted and she doesn't even have one. So, generic greetings. Any email that starts with dear customer, dear user, or the word hi, I delete it. I don't care who it's from. You never, ever respond or look at to a generic greeting. That's it. That's a red flag. Suspicious links and attachments. It's another flag. Spelling and grammar mistakes. That used to be a big thing, but now with AI, it's easy to have that all corrected. And now we got spot the difference. It urges you to take immediate action to prevent an account from being disabled or deleted. It asks you to reset a compromised password or confirm the login credentials. Now, this is where I hammered, you will never be asked to change your password unless IT comes in and tells you to or asks you to. So this was big. Include an alert that someone reported you to the administrator. No, hey, if you have a question, pick up the phone. Call your supervisor. Call your IT department. Or in the case of our smaller clients, text us. Take a picture of the email and call us. Or just text it to us so we can look at it and we'll respond right away. And I'm telling you, 99.999% of when we get someone, makes us aware, and says, hey, is this real? I'm getting this McAfee invoice. Yes, it's fake. Don't pay it. Or I'm getting this Norton 360 invoice. No, you have malware All right, here we go. So this is a really good example. Spot the difference. Your account has been limited. Dear PayPal customer, that's it. Red flag 1, right off the bat. It should be Dear Michael Smith, Dear Susan ABC, whatever the name is, it should be the full name. And right off the bat, we know this is bad. Your PayPal account is limited. You have 24 hours to solve the problem. Okay, they're asking for immediate action. Therefore, boom, it failed, another red flag. If you look further, you'll fail a couple. And then if you put your mouse over one of the links, over the link there, it would fail that. So how to tell this was a phishing email? Very simple. The user's name hasn't been specified. It's a generic greeting. The first sentence provokes a sense of urgency, hoping the user acts without thinking. And there are also grammar and spelling errors in the email if you look closely. Here's another one. Amazon. Oh my. This is one that everybody falls for too. Well, it starts out hello. That's it. Red flag. Done. You don't even go any further. And this is how you have to teach people. So, and it's asking you to do something. This Amazon phishing email comes from a suspicious email address. It doesn't include the customer's name and pressures the customer to update their payment information quickly. So it fails the red flags that we are going to hammer into everybody. Microsoft, this is another one. And this is even more dangerous because this is how emails are compromised. And this is where it says, dear user, right off the bat, delete. Please update your password by clicking the link. Failure to comply within 24 hours will result in limited access to your account. And there's a link to click here, which, I don't have it as a link. Well, guess what? If you were to click on that, you're going to be prompted for your Microsoft email password, at the email login and password. And now, bang, your email's compromised. That's when the bad actors will add rules, they'll add forwarding, game over. And this happens significantly. We see this on a weekly basis, clients falling for it. That's why it's so important to get in front of this and train. The example of the red flags: urgent or threatening language, generic greeting, suspicious sender, a link that does not lead to a legitimate Microsoft site. That's getting harder and harder with AI. I've seen links that, man, they look really good. Request to update password. It's a classic credential harvesting tactic. Safe email practices. This is verify senders and links before clicking. Never open an unknown attachment. Report suspicious emails to AI or whatever's appropriate based on where you're doing this. If I was doing this at a church and it was coming from the church, I would say call the admin of the church to find out if did the pastor really send this. So you adapt to your client. And what I'll do is take some of these things and adapt it to the client that I'm going to be presenting this to. Never send sensitive info via email. No social security numbers or any passwords or details over an email. Always use multi-factor authentication. And then I take the time to explain multi-factor authentication. So don't reply, click links, or download files. Don't do any of that. Report immediately to IT. Delete the email after reporting. This is something for offices I throw in there. And this is where, again, I modify this for the client. When you're getting up from your desk, I remember, hey, hit the Windows key and L. Most people don't even know what the Windows key is. And I say, that key between Control and Alt? Well, if you hit that and L, it locks your screen. So always do that when you are leaving. And this was asked by IT for me to include this, which is, hey, can you have all the users close all their programs, especially at the end of the day? So this way, anything they're running from the server or whatever, you'll get a cleaner backup. So this is the chance to put in other reminders. I remind them of their role in company security. They have to treat every email as a risk. Protect all sensitive information. Report security concerns right away. Ask. Never be embarrassed to raise your hand and ask. Never be embarrassed to email or text. Is this legit? This is what we have to educate everybody about. A quick quiz. And this is where I'll get into some different things. CEO asks for gift cards. What do you do? True or false? It's safe to click a link from someone you know. No, it is not. And I'll pick on people in the meeting. Received an unexpected invoice email. What are the next steps? Well, forward it to accounting or call accounting and say, hey, I got this. I don't recognize it. This happens a lot with domains. And, you ever see those fake invoices where you can, the fake invoice will say, hey, your domain's going to expire and you got to pay, I often get that from the accounting department of my clients. Hey, is this legit? Hey, ask me. And most of the times I tell them no. So now this is from previous trainings and it's sort of my catch-all to go over things other than email. Be alert. Never pick up an unknown USB stick. Just don't do it. Lock your devices. I'll go into making sure, hey, whether you have an iPhone or an iPad or even an Android device, make sure you have it locked. limit your activities on public Wi-Fi. I go into a little, talking about, don't use public Wi-Fi. At if you have to get on and you're sitting in a Starbucks, hey, tether your phone. And this is where I'll tell clients and their employees, hey, email me if you want to learn how to tether your phone. Call me. Send me an email and we'll work out a time and I'll teach you how to do it. Protect your personal information. Screen all phone calls. Now, you know me. One of the first things I had on that list a couple of years ago was never answer the phone. It's like a horror movie. Never answer the phone. Let it go to voicemail and screen the call, because most of the bad ones, they're not going to leave a message. Do not reply to unknown text messages and do not call. If something's asking you to do something, just don't do it. And then, of course, I have I have a PDF on the instructions on how to freeze your credit. That is so important. And that's when, if I look at the clock at this time, because I might have gotten questions and things and I look at the clock and I wonder, do I have time to go into the freeze credit? And if I do, then I will mention that, hey, they can contact HR or whoever or me, and I'll send you a PDF that gives you all the links and the phone numbers and the instructions for freezing your credit, which saves your personal identity and protects it. So, and it's free. And that is just awesome, awesome, awesome. So, another link, as we just keep rolling here, another link I have, and I'm putting it in the chat because it's going to be in the show notes. It's a link to a text file of commands. And I'm just going to do one, but there are a bunch. And it's the shell command. And if you right click and click run, or, just run, and let's go, what are we going to do? My subscription's expiring. Let's pick one. Shell app data. And what it's going to do is it's going to bring up app data roaming. There we are. That quick. So another one is downloads or desktop, or here you go, apps folder. That's the one I wanted to do. Let's go shell, and we'll say apps folder. So I thought, this is kind of cool for a little list for everybody. And it just took me a minute to put this together in a text file, and you can download it. Now, I'm going to download and demonstrate, and this is from Major Geeks, a program that is called Restart on Crash. So what I'm going to do is, it's downloaded, and I am going to unzip it right now. And let's go to downloads, and let's take a look. And I'm going to just right click, and I'm going to extract here. And it is Restart on Crash. So what I'm going to do is, let's go back. So it's a very small program, and it's Restart on Crash. So what if you have a server or a program or something very, very important? Well, I have a client that has a very important program that, when it crashed, it's a manufacturing facility, and that's where they do all the reporting. And if it crashes and it's not running for the second shift, they lose a lot of data and a lot of problems. So if something goes on that kind of interferes, well, let's do this. Let's open Chrome. Okay. So we got Chrome open. And, AdBlock Plus wants money. All right, we got Chrome open, and we're going to add the program, and we're going to select a running application. So wait and see how easy this is. So all I'm going to do is find Chrome EXE and say select. And now, what do we want to do? So let's wait 10 seconds. And if it's not responding to Windows messages, or you first kill, after the crash, you kill the process, and then look, it just automatically filled in and executed the command. You can do so much more, but look how easy this is. So we're now running this. So now I am going to close Chrome. Let's count. There you go, crash. And let's see what happens. I said pause 10 seconds. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, why is it making it's not launching it. It should have launched it already. You know, it's funny when you go to demonstrate this and you actually do it. In my test, of course, it did it and it launched it. You know, you didn't choose when it's not running. Oh, thank you. All right. So, settings. So, let's delete. Let's do it again. Thank you. So let's select. We want Chrome. And assume it is crash and hang when it isn't running. And we're going to wait 5 seconds. And let's see. Kill the process. Close all applications. Is not responding. Execute the command. Okay. Now, I'm going to close Chrome. So it's double checking. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it executed. Thank you, Marius. So this was because of Marius in the chat seeing what I didn't click. So I you get nervous when you're demonstrating. So that program, I'm going to have the link in the show notes for Restart on Crash. That has saved a client on just a little program that needs to run. You can take that and just run with it on things that you might need or a client that could benefit from that. That is it for tonight's show. Remember, email me for anything, feedback, something you want to hear, something you want to talk about. MikeTechShow@gmail.com. The videos are on YouTube. YouTube.com/MichaelSmithMTS. And you can get the video. I know I haven't been on Discord very, very bad. I gotta get on and I gotta start promoting that again. And I promise I will do that. Don't forget Instant House Call, the incredible deal to check it out. These links are great. And don't forget, please, if you find that this is beneficial or helping you out, that's what the donations button for PayPal on MikeTechShow.com. That is it, everybody. And the link in the show notes for the obituary for Todd Cochrane. Todd, rest in peace. And that is it for tonight's show. Bye-bye.